Now he's saying their failure to abide by the order, which was first verbal, Judge, and then later in the day issued in written, he says criminal contempt. What do you make of this ruling? Obviously, this is upping the ante a lot here with the potential for back and forth and what may actually ultimately now go to the Supreme Court yet again.
Well, you know, there are two judges looking at the same thing. Judge Boasberg is looking at whether or not his order to turn the planes around, actually his initial order that the planes not leave, was intentionally ignored. Judge Zinnick's in Maryland is looking at whether or not the government is complying with the Supreme Court's order to extricate Mr. Garcia from El Salvador. Judge Boasberg's a little ahead of the game because he's had the case longer. So when a judge finds that there's probable cause for criminal contempt, that means that he, the judge, will file the criminal complaint against whomever he says engaged in the willful dereliction of his order. And the trial will be held before another judge, not before him, because he's the complaining party. This is very, very unusual for a lawyer. If any of these people as to whom he says there's probable cause of criminal contempt is a lawyer. For a lawyer, this is career-ending because it results in the loss of your license to practice law. He's really turning up the heat on the Trump administration with this one. I haven't read his opinion because, as you know, it just came down while you and I were on air, but of course I will read it for you.
We also know the administration at one point said some of the information they had shielded. You know, there was this secrets invocation they could use as well, that they didn't have to share it with Boasberg. I mean, I would think ultimately if he's going to throw down the gauntlet and say there's criminal contempt for a Trump administration official, he better be pretty buttoned up, because there's definitely going to be a tick-tock. There's flight plans. There's when flights took off. There's an order that was just verbal, Judge. I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been lost in this. And once a plane is up in the air, you know, what is the pilot supposed to do? Turn a plane around? Do they have enough fuel? Where are they landing? In a third country with all these alleged gang members? It seems like once the flights were out of international airspace, there's not more that Trump officials could have done. I really am looking forward to seeing this timeline.
Well, we should see the timeline very soon, because presumably by this finding of probable cause, it is accompanied by an opinion. I've just got to write this down with the timeline in it. Now, this is very interesting because the prosecutors would have to come from the DOJ, and the people being prosecuted are from the DOJ. So if Pam Bondi, if the Attorney General, refuses to allow her people to prosecute this, this adds another level of complexity, whereby Judge Boasberg could order a private lawyer to act as a special Attorney General and prosecute these DOJ lawyers in another federal courtroom.
Wouldn't that just be great for him to have to be able to handpick that? We also believe he still has the signal case, Judge. I do want to get to Letitia James. We're going to follow this very closely, as it's going to, of course, break, and lots of reaction coming in this afternoon. But here's the issue with Letitia James. The director of Federal Housing Finance Agency says she's falsifying documents, property records to get government-backed assistance, more favorable loans. At one document, she said her father was her husband. This seems pretty shady. She says she won't be intimidated. What do you think her exposure is here for the criminal trial of now Letitia James? Turnabout seems to be fair play, doesn't it?
Well, whether it's turnabout or not, there does seem to be enough evidence here to commence a criminal investigation. If she made material misrepresentations to the FHA, which was guaranteeing her loan, so that the bank would charge her a lower interest rate. So it's the bank's money, but the FHA guarantees the mortgage, and thereby allowing the bank to charge a lower mortgage rate, so she pays less money. If that was a material misrepresentation, she has a very serious criminal exposure. You're talking 5 or 10 years. Her defense will be she didn't sign anything. She just signed a power of attorney over to some people in Virginia, and they signed everything to the bank. So we don't know what the facts are here, but it's certainly worthy of an investigation.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, thank you for joining us today. A lot of big stories happening.
Always a pleasure, Bianca.
Newsline.